peace that surpasses all understanding. Um, One voice can change the world. Um, and I feel like oftentimes throughout the course of our life, we're told to shut up. You know, thinking back to when you were a kid, oh, that's nonsense, shut up. And I want to share with you your voice is important. Your experiences, um, sharing your experiences, sharing a perspective, offering an opinion on a matter can change the world. Maybe in a large way, um, and maybe in a more localized way. You can change the world. And I was considering an experience I had when I was a child. Even a child can change the world with their voice. Um, I spent a fair amount of time as a child um, with my grandmother, and she was a lovely woman, um, very nurturing, very kind-hearted, very compassionate, very engaging. My grandmother was the kind of grandmother that she would focus on, like, yeah, she was a seamstress. My grandma, that was her profession. She was a seamstress, and many of us may have heard of Spalding Sporting Goods. So she made clothing, but her mainstream job was in the town that I lived in was the largest Spalding factory. So she sewed footballs, footballs, basketballs. Now, this is back in the day when it was all made out of leather, but that was my grandmother, and but beautiful woman. And as a kid, she was very engaging, especially when she saw me in my imagination, and she was a firm believer in this is what we do for a living. Let's say, this is what we do for a living, but these are the things that make life worth living. And while she was mainstream word, blue collar worker, she had a great taste for music and the arts and museums, and you know, it was a very common theme to uh, go to a concert, all different kinds of music. As a kid, it would be jazz, big band, whatever was playing at the there'd be a gazebo at the park near my house, and there'd be a band, whatever. Every year we would go to the ballet near my house and see the Nutcracker Suite. We would constantly be going to a museum, an art gallery, typically things that were free, more or less, and but wonderful, diverse experiences that I had with her. This is what you do, but this is what makes life living, worth living. And when she engaged with me, she heard my voice. She heard my voice. And I remember, I was a kid, man. I was all about, the banana seat bicycle and ice cream and Star Wars, and I was having a grand old time. And I remember her asking me, well, what would you like to do? She didn't come around and say, oh, you could be the president. She asked me what I wanted to do. What would you like to do with your life? What would be fun and enjoyable? And I'm a kid, and I'm like, I want to have an ice cream shop. I want to have an ice cream shop. Oh, you do? And I don't know what it was, a week later, 2 weeks later, and again, I spent a fair amount of time. She would frequently pull me out of my home, and I'd go spend a month at her house and go to school from her house, whatever, whatever, whatever. And my father had worked at a factory called New England Container. He was a retired Marine, but he had taken a job where they made cardboard boxes for all different things. They made cardboard, and and he always had, you know, a supply of cardboard boxes. And I can't remember what the box was from. It was something huge, mungus, huge, mungus. I mean, like, you know, a refrigerator or something along those lines. And my grandmother laid her hands on a cardboard box. The following weekend, you know, this is just who my grandmother was, and you know, I had told her, you know, I want to have an ice cream store. So we have this image of a kid selling lemonade on a street corner. We took that box and turned it into an ice cream stand, and she was very handy and whatever. And we ran down to the local store and we bought some vanilla chocolate and strawberry ice cream. Didn't sell much of the strawberry, but and some ice cream cones, and I put up a stand, and all the kids came to, you know, my ice cream stand. It was a glory, you know, her allowing me to express myself, and going to one voice. I She recognized my voice, and she engaged with it, and tried to nurture it. One of the other things that we would do is with her and my step grandfather. My biological grandfather died before I was born. My grandmother remarried. He was a cool dude. He was a retired cop. Um, and frequently, they were there was a diner, a true diner, Al's Diner, um, probably about a mile away from their house. But they were avid walkers. They loved to just go for a walk and hold hands, you know. And you know, I'd be walking behind them a few paces, and you know, here's this, you know, mature retired couple, and they're holding hands and they're making kissy face and um, looking at each other in such a way. You know, it was quite beautiful. And even as a little kid, I remember that. I'm like, they're cool people, you know. But we would go for walks, and sometimes we would go out for ice cream. There was an ice cream place near my home. There was a little corner restaurant called Lanky's Lunch, home of the foot long hot dog. And there was Al's Diner. And Al's Diner, it was a true diner car. Very small, very, you know, it was a diner car. But it was great. It was great. It was within walking distance. And on their sign, uh, the neighborhood that I grew up in, or the area, you know, there was a lot of French Canadian people, French Canadian Catholic, you know, that kind of. And there was the, like, you know, Al's Diner, home of French meat pie, right? And during the holiday season, um, you could order French meat pies from Al's Diner. Anyway, so on their sign, you know, there was a thing about French meat pie, and what I would get when we would go to this diner is fried chicken and spaghetti. And I remember the first time I had it, and I'm like, whoa, dude, fried chicken and spaghetti. This is just, I was like, it was glorious. And it was really, really good fried chicken. It wasn't something that was pre-made or whatever. There was a dude out in back, you know, shaking off the flour on the chicken, and I mean, it was absolutely, you know, delicious comfort food, you know, home style comfort food. And I was just like, fried chicken and spaghetti, you know, one voice, one voice. I'm a little kid, you know. pre-adolescent, I'm in primary school, elementary school, so that age, and anyway, my grandparents, we would do things like that on a fairly regular basis. But the fried chicken and spaghetti at Al's Diner, Chicopee, Massachusetts, I think they're closed now. I think they finally went out of business. But I remember after that first time of going with them to Al's Diner and getting the fried chicken and spaghetti, I went back to school the following Monday or whatever it was, and I was telling all my friends about it. Oh my God, you guys, the fried chicken and spaghetti. And anybody who would listen to me, I was just like, wow, that was delicious. And now I told this one and I told that one. My friends, my family. I went with Meme and Pepe to Al's Diner and I got fried chicken and spaghetti. Amazing, amazing people, my grandparents. Very fortunate that they showed up in my awareness in my life when they did. They saved me, mostly, both of them collectively, but my grandmother individually. She was just a beautiful woman, just a beautiful, soulful, warm and compassionate woman, and yeah. Anyway, fried chicken and spaghetti, one voice. Years passed. Years passed. I left home. My grandmother died when I was roughly 15 years old. And I found myself, I had to go, because I was living a fair amount of my time at that point living with my grandmother. My grandmother kind of pulled me out of my home and said, no, you're going to come live with me. And I went home to my childhood home with my mother and family. And by the time I was 15, I was like, nope. And I left home when I was 15 and went on went on with my life. And forgot about Al's Diner, forgot about that place. My life got, I had to grow up real fast. And again, fortunately, I had a place to go. My best friend Kyle's mother took me in when my grandmother died. And I left home. And years passed. And I moved a lot, had, life got real busy. And I remember on a ride, on a drive, so this is, probably 10, 15 years later. I was driving by Al's Diner, and I come around the corner. It was very close to the underpass of a train trellis. It was a diner car, and I came around the corner, and as I'm like, oh, and I started to see the sign. There's Al's Diner. And what did I see underneath the sign? It didn't say French meat pie anymore. It said home of fried chicken and spaghetti. It was a big moment in my life, man. That I have a voice, that you have a voice. Now, this is a simple, very basic idea or experience that I had, but it really drove home for me the profundity of my voice and what can I do with my voice? What can I do with my thoughts and my feelings and my expressions? How do I share love? And I was just blown away by that, and I went, wow, I have a voice, and look what I did with it on a basic level. But look what I manifested. Home of fried chicken and spaghetti. You have a voice. You have a voice. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with it? What would you like to share? It's an amazing experience, and today I woke up with a lot of gratitude. I had some I have some really decent people in my life, and they on some, we look back at our experiences, and I don't want to compare. I don't want to compare one to another, but I look back, and the heartfelt compassion and warmth that I experienced with my grandmother. I'm meeting people that um, embody that, in my reality these days, and you know, it's just a wonderful experience, and I'm full of gratitude. I'm full of gratitude for their presence in my life and their impact on my life, for their voice in my life. And with that, I will offer you a peace that surpasses all understanding, and bid you a fabulous day. A fabulous day. Thank you for stopping by. I'm going to leave my email in the description box below. Feel free to share your experiences. I'd love to hear them. Peace.